Hi, this is Russ Bergquist from the Russ Bergquist Project. You are listening to Brutally Delicious with Chris and Bruce.
Brutally Delicious!
I sent you the guy from Tuesday, which I think will be pretty cool. He's the PhD. Did his thing in did his dissertation on those battle vests, those vests that everybody wears with the patches on them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool. We had good luck with Viren, so maybe that's an avenue we can explore.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
And then I just sent you a comment we got from somebody who says they love our show and listening to us at work. So at least we know we got like 3 people listening, which is good.
Hey, 3 people is better than no people.
Right. So I think we kind of talked about this real quick, but before we get Russ on, we had to cancel last week. But we got Dale out there who corrected us and said that we were wrong about Guns N' Roses putting the only 2 albums out together because I guess Demon Hunter did it this year. So thanks, Dale, for fact-checking us.
Thanks, Dale,
Appreciate
for listening.
that.
We really appreciate you listening.
Right.
You must be one of 3.
You're one of the 3, and you're fact-checking us, so we like that a lot. And also, I got a message from somebody saying, from Randy, saying our language is too vulgar, but since we're on the internet, you don't have to listen to it. We can also say, fuck you, Randy.
What the fuck is with Randy? Why is he so fucking worried about my goddamn language?
I don't know. You can always change the station or do something else. But
have I said something wrong?
I'm not sure. But so that's the feedback we've got. Somebody's listening to us at work. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you,
Dale's
Christina.
Dale's fact-checking us, and Randy thinks we're vulgar. So,
well, I am vulgar. I get that comment a lot. Hey, Russ. Welcome to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
That's brutally awesome.
It is brutally awesome. You're right.
Tell us, how excited are you to be on this hugely famous, popular podcast? We have 3 listeners that we know of.
Yeah, we know we at least have 3.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm covered in myself.
Nice. Nice.
Right on. So
I don't know how nice it is.
We don't have the video on, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. You can take your dick out of your hands now.
I'm actually still scarred from seeing you get out of the shower the other day.
It's okay. I already had my way with myself this morning, so I'm good.
And by the way, we're not pulling the host jerk-offs today.
No, we're not.
No.
I'm not.
So I don't know if you saw me the other day, Russ, but I was chilling beers in ice, and I was cooling them off in the ice.
Yes.
How did you feel about that technique?
It's a great technique. I learned it many years ago.
Yeah.
And for those listening, you take a beer, put it on its side, and lay it in ice cubes. Then gently spin the beer in the ice cubes for approximately 2 to 3 minutes. And then open that motherfucker and drink it because it is cold now.
Oh, yeah. It is the best technique, man. Oh.
Yeah, it's a great one.
But it doesn't spew all over you?
No.
Like I said, gently.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really use
Your hand doesn't fall asleep?
I use that technique in Jamaica. I was there 2 weeks ago, and they were bringing me... I was paying this guy to fill my fridge with 24 Red Stripes a day.
Only 24.
I don't think I should advertise that. Oh, no. But anyways...
okay, Chris. I understand.
He gave me ice buckets, and I would fill them up with ice, and I would just gently roll them on the patio. And people would be walking by, and it looks like I'm massaging something in the bucket, you know? My hands...
What are you doing? I'm keeping it small.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyways, I had cold beers by the pool. Anyways, enough about beer and cold beer.
Oh, what do you mean enough?
Well, I mean, as soon as this podcast is over, you know what Chris will be doing. But anyways.
Okay.
Actually,
spinning beers.
Yeah. I'll actually probably be working on my lawn. But anyways, tell us what you've been up to.
Myself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I've been pretty busy, actually. I've had a lot of stuff going on. I'm in 2 bands up here in Vancouver, Canada. One called The Thick of It, and the other one called Touch the Sun.
Great bands.
I'm much busier with Touch the Sun. We just did a gig last week. We opened for Flotsam and Jetsam here in Vancouver.
That's a nice gig.
We're going to lay off the gigging for a little while. We released an album last year, and we've kind of gone through the whole cycle of that. And now we're just concentrating on writing songs. So tonight I'll actually be in our drummer Rob Wade's home studio laying down some bass on a new tune.
Nice.
So
sweet.
That keeps me busy. I spend a couple days a week with those guys. And then I've also been pushing and trying to market my own album called the Russ Bergquist Project.
Oh, cool. Project, not project. Canadian.
Oh.
That's a whole Canadian thing.
I love it.
That's right.
I love it.
It's a rock and roll project, eh?
This is the first time on the show.
Yeah.
It's the first time on the show that I'm outnumbered by Canadians. Now I've got the accent.
Yeah.
But I don't hear one. I don't hear an accent with you, Bruce.
No?
No, not at all. It's not like you're from North Carolina or something, you know.
No, originally from New York, but
I think it's because you had the New York accent when you were younger, and then you moved to Virginia, and you kind of have that mixture, and, you know, maybe that takes the accent away.
From my experience,
that makes it like
anywhere you go, there's going to be, all across the United States, all across Canada, there's different accents and dialects and everything like that. So.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
When I went to, one time I flew out to Halifax, and I could not understand a single frickin' word those people were saying. They were nice, but I had no idea what they were talking about. Yeah. It's so thick.
You didn't know what they were talking about?
It's like a mix of Scottish and Irish or something like that.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, holy, can you slow down for me? It's like, beep. Anyways, if you're in Halifax, I love you. So,
right. So if you're one of the 3 listeners in Halifax.
Yeah. So the Russ Bergquist Project, how many songs are on the record?
9.
9 songs?
9 songs, 2 instrumentals and 7 with vocals.
And who is the vocalist on the record?
A fella from British Columbia up here named Mark Petrie. I've known Mark for many years. He was a vocalist in a band that I had years ago called Freaks by Nature.
Oh, I love that CD.
We've done a few other things over the years, but he's the vocalist on this project.
Oh, cool.
Project.
Whatever. So
I know there's
a project.
Right. So you've got quite a few guest musicians on this record as well, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Can you tell us a few of them?
I could tell you all of them, actually, if you want.
That would be great. Tell us about them.
Scott Webb, guitarist named Scott Webb, drummer named Ryan Van Poederoyen, keyboard players Vivian Lalou, Dave Young, guitarist Jupe Walters, guitarist Jeff Loomis, drummer Ray Hartman, guitarist Brian Polson, Alex Roque, and vocalist Mark Petrie.
Nice. How did you end up getting Ryan and Ray to play the drums on this record? I mean, both of those guys are serious drummers.
Yeah, so it goes back a long ways, this project. Goes back quite a ways. And Ryan, when I started doing this, Ryan was starting a project of his called Terror Syndrome. And I didn't even know if he had the name for it at that time. But as it turned out, it was like, well, if you play on some of my songs, I'll play on some of your songs. So it never worked out that I played on any of Ryan's stuff, which is awesome because I got it basically for free.
That's all right.
Yeah, well, he did a great job for me too. And then Ray and I played together in Annihilator for a couple, 2 or 3 years, and we've remained friends since. And I had him come on board and play 4 of the songs on this album.
Nice. I've actually had the pleasure of recording Ray a few times, and I'm not sure I've ever met a drummer that can hammer the drums as hard and consistent as that guy. Like,
There's another drummer I played with in Annihilator named Randy Black, and
Oh God.
he's like that too. Like those guys both hit really, really hard, but really consistently. Both great drummers to play with,
Unbelievable.
and totally different. They're both totally different from each other too.
Yeah, and as a bass player, it must be kind of a unique situation, especially when it's your own record, that you're blending your playing and your songs with their beats, because there's such a huge relationship between a drummer and a bass player.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Basically, when it came down to the drum parts, I pretty much have everything lined up the way I wanted it. So I kind of told the guys what to do, but at the same time, they put their own personality into it a little bit, and that's what you want. So there's a little bit of a different push and pull between the two styles of the drummers, but they both seem to work very well for my project.
Now,
Thank you for the correction. Yes.
How did you end up getting Jeff Loomis to play a solo? What song did he play a solo on, just so everyone knows?
Well, first off, I just asked him.
Oh.
That's beautiful.
I've known Jeff for a long time, and I said, "Hey, would you want to do this?" And he said, "Yeah." And in less than a day, I had a solo back in my hand. So there's a instrumental on this little CD of mine. I titled it "Shreddies," and it's an ode to the lead guitarist. Basically, I've always been fascinated what they can do. Like as a bass player, lumbering away on those big strings, and then you hear some little athletic guitar player coming, with the note density and just shredding away. So that's the name Shreddies came about for the song. And I lined up 4 different guitarists to basically just solo and
Nice.
arrange the song in a way so it didn't get boring. At least I don't think it's boring. I think it flows pretty good. And 4 different completely styles of guitar player. I had a local fella here that I mentioned the band Freaks by Nature a little while ago. The guitarist in that band was named Scott Webb. And so he did some slide and some lead guitar work on this song. Also, another local guy named Brian Paulson, a fantastic player. A gentleman from the Netherlands named Joop Walters. He's got a real exotic style. You can hear it in his playing on this one. And then Jeff Loomis tied it all up at the end of the song.
Oh, when I listen to that track, I'm just drooling with love of shredding guitar players. So I think the title is aptly named.
Yeah, I like the way it turned out. I also had a keyboard player play on this song as well. A gentleman named Vivian Lalou. He's from France. He's put out a number of his own albums. I played on one of them. With Ryan Van Poeterijn, and Joop Walters was on that album as well. So there's a relationship there.
Cool.
Vivian's a fantastic musician, and he really put some nice color in the breakdown section of this song.
Yeah, so it kind of seems like the relationships you forged by touring the world or Europe have really stayed with you all this time. So I guess people really like you.
Well, well, that's because I say project and project.
That's correct.
No, I've been fortunate. I've met a lot of really nice people, and I never stayed on the road with bands. I didn't get out there. I didn't stay on the road like maybe I should have, but at the same time, life on the road's tough. So
Yeah.
it's a difficult. I respect the guys that are out there playing and touring and doing shows for a living. I respect those guys and I look up to them, but at the same time, it's a difficult living. It's you're constantly traveling. It's tiring. And a lot of times you have to be out there consistently and all the time to make a living at it. So it's a difficult thing, and I respect all those guys for that. But yeah. Meeting and playing with all these players, and over the years I've had some other opportunities that came along from people I've met, and I really cherish that.
That's amazing. Now, you also talked about your band Touch the Sun, and you say you're working with Rob in his basement. Now, I've heard some of the stuff Rob does in his basement, and that guy is seriously on it. The last time I spoke with Rob, he was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then he sends me this track that he did, and I'm just like, what the fuck? This sounds amazing.
It's funny because he says it, and he says it like that. I don't know what I'm doing, But he's got a very creative mind, that guy. And like even some of the demo stuff, like it's not just that he's a good drummer and he's turning into a pretty good engineer and producer kind of guy, like when it comes to crafting songs with us. But he kind of leads the charge with most of it. In terms of, like, Alex will bring in some cool ideas, or I'll have a cool idea or whatever, and I'll just start building around it. And he has a real good ability to do that. But the guy he's gooder at the keyboard, too. And
oh, really?
He can, oh, yeah. Like, all the keyboard stuff you hear on any of that stuff, that's all him.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he played keys.
Yeah, no, he's got some education on that, and he took some training, so he's using that. But then at the same time, there's some stuff that he's picked up, like he can write a guitar solo. He can play a bass.
Wow.
Yeah, he can play a bass line. Like I'm going, well, what is that? You play that on keyboards? No, I used that bass guitar over there, and it's like, holy crap, sounds good, man. So
wow.
He's pretty well versed in music, and I have a lot of respect for the guy for that. And the nice thing is, we go in and with that attitude, I don't know what I'm doing, and all three of us throw things at the wall and see what sticks when it comes to the songs, and then we'll revisit it after we jam it for a while and realize that, when we jam it, we play it a lot different than when we wrote it.
Yeah.
And then we do it again, and then sometimes we'll re-record it again, So tonight I'm going in to record a bass line that I recorded twice before.
Nice.
But it's just to get a better sound for the demo, few ideas a little different. I'm using a little bit different processor right now for demoing of a piece of gear.
Processor?
From Dark Glass. Processor or processor?
Oh, you're using a Dark Glass.
Are you getting back at me for the jerk off comment or what? That's okay.
Is that a Dark Glass like overdrive pedal, or what is it?
The one I picked up is Dark Glass Alpha Omega pedal. It's a distortion pedal, but it can be used as a DI as well.
Oh, wow.
Sounds fantastic. It sounds really fantastic. Like for demoing, I wouldn't use it. I would use it, but I would have to use it alongside something else to get a really solid bass tone. But for doing the demos, it works quite well.
Nice.
Are you going direct or a mix of both?
No, we're just basically going through the processor.
Okay.
Notice how I said that?
Yeah, that was very nice. Thank you.
You're just going direct bass, right? Straight into DAW.
Yeah. Just one channel. So, like, you know how it is, Chris. Like a lot of times, if you're recording bass, you'll use 2 to 4 channels through different things, and then blend them together. But we're just get a decent sound with this and work with it.
Yeah,
it's good for the demo. It's good for demoing.
Yeah, I mean, some bass tones can work really, really well. Just some of the best bass sounds I've ever heard have just been a DI. So, I think it depends on the gear and the engineer and the player and what the tone you're going for, I guess, really. I mean, maybe I'm going down a geek hole right now. I don't know. But
well, I've worked with different engineers over the years, and some we've just used like amping, just putting a mic in front of a cabinet. Yeah. And then there's other times where a guy used 5 different channels and blended them all together, so.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they all come with different results. I mean, and I can't say any one is better than the other. It depends, I guess, on the engineer and what he wants to do and what kind of control he wants over the overall frequencies of the instrument.
Yeah.
These days, you don't hear. These days, it's I don't know. I find it a little different than 20 years ago or even farther back, where you didn't have as much control over it, but you didn't have as much to work with. So it was a little easier to get nice separation and different things like that in a mix with the way the things were recorded. Now your bandwidth is just, your frequency range is just so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like before, if you had 2 guitar players in the band, you had 2 guitar tracks, and you had a vocal track with some BGs and a bass track and the drums. There's a lot of space for everything to fit in there. And nowadays, people are layering things so much that, like you say, everything gets so much more.
It becomes that wall of sound.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go for that, which is great, but it has its place. It doesn't have all the places. And I miss listening to albums where you can hear every note the bass player plays and the way his fingers hit the strings and the way the guitar player plays something. You can hear everything, and it's just not like that anymore.
No. The bass these days is shelved so low, especially in metal, that it's really difficult to make out a lot of what they're doing. If
you listen to an old Aerosmith record from the 70s, just use them as an example.
Yeah.
When you listen to those songs, what you hear the most is Tom Hamilton's bass.
Oh, absolutely. Same with Old Maiden.
Well, Maiden, Rush, Boston, all these bands back in the 70s, the way they used to record and mix things back then. It was just incredible, the separation and the sounds and just the way it all fit together. But, the bass carried, like with that, I mentioned Tom Hamilton, his bass really carried a lot what was going on in those Aerosmith songs, And then as the years went by with the stuff they did in the late 90s and whatever, it sounded a little different, It was still pretty good. Bruce Fairbairn was producing those records, and he did an awesome job.
Yeah.
But it just not quite the same, I mean, everything evolves and changes. If they had all this gear in the late 60s, they would have been doing the same thing that everybody's doing right now.
Oh, everyone's like, records lack what the Beatles had. And I was like, the Beatles were inventing tricks to get stuff more to get it more perfect. If the Beatles had auto-tune right now, you better believe they would have been using auto-tune in some way or fashion.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
But, they say limitation is the mother of all invention sometimes. And right now, when you're recording, there's almost no limits. So,
yeah, you can, if you want to put 100 tracks on a song, no problem.
I've received tracks like that to mix many times.
Yeah.
I got this one track. It was a hip hop track. It had 2 tracks, or one stereo track for the beat, one stereo track for the keys, and 128 vocal tracks.
Wow.
I was just like, what the fuck is this? Where do I even start?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's
Russ,
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sure.
No, go ahead.
Carry on. Yeah, go ahead.
You've got the 3 projects going, and I know you said you don't like being out on the road much. Is there any plan to take any of these out, even on short runs?
Well, I just want to clarify one thing. If I could go back on the road for a little while again, I would do it. I would do it because I miss it. Whether I'd want to do it for the rest of my life, I don't know. But
right.
There is, if something came up and we were able to go out and make it work financially, I think we would do it. I don't think it would be with the thick of it, but with Touch the Sun, we've all discussed it, and if something came along and we got some offers to do some shows, or there was an opportunity for us, then we would seriously look at it and more than likely do something with it. That band is already, we're just a 3-piece, but we've got it down, like how we go about representing the music as a 3-piece, and we could go out and we could play shows right now.
Well, I've seen you guys, and you guys are just unbelievable live. Unbelievable.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
And then my own project, I'm not sure about that. I mean, I'd have to put a band together, which means I'd have to find finances to pay for putting a band together.
Right.
And probably wouldn't do any shows here if we went over to Europe or something like that. And then you're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 in airplane tickets. And how do you make that all work? So, I mean, but again, at the same time, if the opportunities are there and it looks like it's something that can work, I'll entertain it.
That's awesome.
Okay, cool.
I would love to see you playing in Europe, just on one of those frickin' massive stages. Because before I knew of Russell Bergquist, you were playing on those stages, And,
Yeah.
like before I even met you, you were Well, I mean, when I met you, I didn't even know you played bass.
Nice.
Yeah, because I was that was that drunk guy.
Yeah. We were just over at Ken's place getting wasted.
He plays bass. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I had some good years back, late '90s, early 2000s with the bands that I played in, and most of the stuff I did was with Annihilator.
Yeah.
Right.
But I did play overseas with Dusk Machine. I did play on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise with Dusk Machine, which I've also.
That's where I met you on that one.
That's where we met. Yeah, Bruce. That's going to be 10 years ago this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Touch the Sun too played on 70,000 Tons of Metal, didn't they?
Yeah, we did a couple years back.
Yeah. So
I was there for that one as well.
You're in a very small group of people that have played multiple cruises in different bands. I wonder if there's a stat for that somewhere. There's got to be.
I don't know. I did a clinic on that cruise once too, bass clinic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
But most of that touring and those experiences, like I went to Japan a couple times too, and that was all done with Annihilator. So bulk of it was right there. I mean, I did play with Dusk Machine in Germany. I played with another Canadian band, an old Canadian band that put a record out a number of years back, and we went and we did a festival over in Germany in Ludwigsburg, and that band was called White Wolf. It was kind of a power metal band.
Huh.
It was, the music was good. That was all right. It was kind of a cool experience. I had some friends that were in the band too, so that was fun for us to go do.
Absolutely.
And I lived in the Netherlands for a while, and I put together a blues band with a couple of guys from this little town that I lived in, and I actually fronted the band. We called it the Sasquatch Blues Band. And
Nice.
we did all these funny songs and a bunch of bluesy type of stuff, and that was a fun experience, actually, playing in these little wee towns and little pubs where 20, 30 people would show up. But the thing that was really cool about it is that I played all these kind of little venues in Canada too over the years, and everybody comes in, they buy their beer, and they sit in their chair. And you go to these little places in these European countries, there's no chairs. They all stand there in front of the stage and drink their beer there and watch the band.
That's awesome.
And I really enjoyed that because it was just down to earth music and music lovers, and just the way the people the way they embraced live music was something that you don't really see here the same. Even though live music is really appreciated, it's just a different culture of music lover that I find in Europe.
Cool. So do you still stay in touch with the guys from Annihilator, like Jeff or Dave or anyone?
Well, Dave and I run into Dave every now and then. Dave Patton, that is.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a while. I stay in touch a bit with Curran Murphy.
Yeah.
Randy Black. I stay in touch with him, and Ray Hartman, and I'm in touch with Jeff on a regular basis. We throw a few comments back and forth at each other, and I got along good with Jeff. I kind of admire how he's been able to, on his own, basically, because Annihilator is a band, but it's more Jeff's project than anything.
Yeah.
And how he's managed to put out 15 or 16 albums over the course of over 20 years, going on 30 years, and has always put out an album. Every album he puts out, there's something on there, and you go, holy crap, is that ever good? You know? Even if you don't like the whole record, there's always something on there that is pretty cool. And sometimes there's a lot of pretty cool on his records, and they usually sound pretty good too. So, he survived really well.
Well, now he's recording, mixing, and mastering his own stuff now, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's been doing that. He's been doing that for years.
I had no idea.
And he's also, I remember when I joined the band, he was basically, he was going through. He had some personal things going on. I guess I won't get into it, but he actually had a 2-bedroom condo that he and his kid were living in, and he set up a little recording studio in his bedroom, and the vocal booth was the closet, and he had a mixing board and all his gear set up in there, and he actually put together most of an album called Criteria for a Black Widow in that bedroom.
Wow. That's
recorded
amazing.
the drums. Hartman recorded the drums at some studio or whatever, but everything else is pretty much done in the bedroom. And that was the late Randy Rampage sang on that album.
Oh, wow.
And Jeff would say, yeah, I just get some vodka and give Randy some drinks, and he'd go into there and he'd just bark out a whole bunch of stuff, and then he'd eventually put it together and made an album out of it.
Nice.
Randy was crazy.
Jeff is a very good engineer, producer kind of guy. He does a really good job. And his performances on his albums are always top rate.
Oh, even live. I mean, I've seen Annihilator now about 5 or 6 times, I guess. And like, I don't know how that guy runs around the stage like he does at his age and still hits every note like it's the most important note of his life.
Yeah, he's really sharp. He's a super sharp player. Like that's the thing about when I sat down and played I don't know, maybe over 150 shows with the guy, maybe even more.
Yeah.
But he was always pretty consistent. Like, there's a few times at the end of a show we'd have to laugh or we'd bug him because he made some pretty bad blithers. But we always called them blithers. But no, there was always a high standard. Like he set a high standard. I know we'd go on tour with some bands and they would say like, yeah, we got together and we rehearsed for 2 days and now we're going out. Well, we rehearsed for 2 weeks.
Right.
Every day for 2 weeks.
Amazing.
So, but then again, you listen to Annihilator's music and it has to be well rehearsed to be put on a stage.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It has to. It's not like, I'll just use a loose example, Motorhead or something. It's a different type of band, right?
Yeah. Well, you're definitely
Annihilator's more of a technical band,
You're definitely no slouch of a player yourself. I mean, I've had the privilege of recording you and you make my life easy. So like how many hours a day do you practice, or do you still practice at all, or do you just play?
I don't necessarily practice. I try to keep my fingers moving. I don't practice as much as I used to. When I was, for example, it depends. Like the bands I play in now, I can basically, warm up for 5 minutes and then go and play it, and it's usually, it comes across pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Annihilator is a different animal because there was a lot of technical stuff there, and even some of these other bands, like there'd be some music on my own album here that I'd have to sit down and really get the endurance. It's more endurance than anything.
Okay.
When it comes to playing a lot of this type of music, especially if it's more of aggressive or stuff like that, because you don't want your part fading,
Right.
It's like if you're chasing down a ball or playing a sport, you don't want to be, just before you get to the ball, you don't want to slow down, right? So you got to keep that stamina up, and that's the biggest part of it. But I've got practice techniques and stuff that keep my fingers in pretty good shape, and that's generally what I do. And then I just, mess around with stuff, but the rest of it's done in the rehearsal room or in the studio.
Amazing. There's some
Sweet.
Amazing bass lines on your solo record, man. They're crazy.
Thanks, Chris.
Bruce?
All right. So if you're ready, I know I sent you some podcasts to listen to, Russ, and I know you're busy, so you probably didn't get to them. But we've got a little portion of the show here where I come up with some, off the wall questions. So
all right.
I've heard you've got a sense of humor, so hopefully these are fairly decent. And Chris is not prepared for this, so I don't know if you're watching him or not, but usually he kind of chokes.
He just sits and laughs.
Yeah, usually I wait for him to get a mouthful of coffee before I hit him with these. But
first thing he does, though, he closes his eyes and then he laughs.
right.
I've never met Russ before in my life.
Yeah.
Right. All right, you ready, Russ?
I am ready.
When a hot dog expands, in which direction does it split and why? Look at Chris.
No, this is good. I've always wondered this. This is an amazing question. It splits along its length. Now, sometimes it'll split. fatten up at the ends a little bit. But it'll split along its length, and the reason for that, I believe, is because the consistency of the so-called meat inside the wiener, when it heats up, it expands. And it expands in a way that it doesn't shoot out the ends. It just splits the side open.
That's a beautiful answer. Plus, we got to say wiener on the show, so we're excellent.
Seems very scientific.
Right. All right.
Can I have your splitting wiener?
Jesus.
See, he's got his eyes closed and his head's tilting back.
That's because you said wiener, and now he's all excited.
I'm going to respond to all of these like I'm on sweaty balls.
All right, Russ, would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Well, I'm going to fight that big fucking duck.
I think so. That's the way to go. All right, and then the last one for you would be, how would you sell hot cocoa in Florida?
How would I sell hot cocoa in Florida? Nude.
Nice. Would you have your hair in that towel that we saw last week?
Which hair?
No. True. Luckily, the camera was waist up, so we just saw the turban-esque kind of thing. But
sure, I'll go turban-esque, nude, selling hot cocoa in Florida.
You imply he manscapes.
I didn't imply anything.
Hey, Russ, before we let you go, where can people go check out your music?
They can check my music out on iTunes, CD Baby, Spotify. Basically, if you just Google the Russ Bergquist Project, there'll be various options come up for you to check it out or purchase if you wish.
Oh, purchase
Sweet.
it.
Hi, this is Russ Bergquist from the Russ Bergquist Project. You are about to listen to a song called Shreddies, featuring some wonderful guitar playing. Enjoy. Okay, man.
Awesome. Hey, take care, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Love you,
All right,
brother.
later.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, man.
Cheers.
Hello out there.
Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.